friends, that's what I want for Christmas. I told all of them I want like a massage gift card or something, or you know,
Yeah.
preferably.
Well, I might be able to. I can find
No, no,
out.
no. I'm not. No, not you. No, 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 no. I'm not
I
gonna put
could
that on you.
though.
No, I'm not gonna do that. No, no,
Oh,
no. No, that's so
you
sweet of you.
deserve it.
Thank
You
you, but
deserve it. You do so much. I
my
mean,
friends need to do it. You know why? Because they should help me too, but they're not.
mhm.
I'm like, help me. Hi, everyone. My name is Georgette True, and I work for Attorney Davis. And I don't know where he's at. Um, I have Mr. Guay from the state of Maine with us right now, and I also have Miss Young.
Yeah,
And yeah, I'm here. Here you go.
I'm trying to plug in this phone.
Put your face on, Mister. Bring your face on. There you go. Um, and then Stacy's going to join us in a few seconds as well. Miss Young, where are you
Yes.
coming from with us to us?
I am coming from southern Indiana.
Indiana.
Yeah.
Hoosiers.
Wait a minute. You know what? I've never. How is CPS in Indiana?
Terrible.
Tell us.
They do. They do the same stuff that I hear that happens in every other state. Same. Same deal. My kids were taken 3 years ago over an allegation, and it was a sexual abuse allegation against my husband, and there was no way that there was no way that I could actually have been proven in court, because when um, I was told years later after the fact that what supposedly happened. And anyways, my daughter's counselor stuck his nose in where it didn't belong, and he called DCS, and that started the crap show. Um, the DCS guy came out, and he didn't even have an order with him. He didn't have a. I don't even think he was talking to a supervisor on the phone. I think he was talking to a supervisor, not a judge. He didn't have a paper warrant or anything to retain my children. And me, I was freaking out. It was awful. And then so I've been through the court circus for the past 3 years.
Uh huh.
I had a court appointed attorney
Mm-hmm.
who was lame, lousy, didn't do jack crap.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I feel like, I could have done better by myself because he didn't get nothing solved, and they probably wouldn't have solved nothing for me anyway. So it wouldn't have been no damn difference. Um, they TPR'd us in May without any proof. The allegations were made against my husband, but they turned around and charged me. They went after me, and they said I was neglectful because I had my husband in the home for something that they couldn't prove happened. Uh, so I'm appealing my right, and my constitutional rights were violated. Didn't get a fair trial. It wasn't a very fair. It wasn't a fair hearing. And when we were going through the process of the TPR hearings, my attorney actually told me that I didn't have to be there on the second day because there was going to be 2 days. It was going to be a 2 day trial. No, he told me I didn't have to be there on the next date. So me and my husband didn't go. And then the next thing I know of is that DCS is sending us paperwork in the mail, and our rights had been terminated. So we are appealing it, and I'm waiting to hear from the appeals court. But the original the case, they opened two cases, one for each of my girls. The one case, which was the original on the original case, they were going to close that because my daughter turned 18, but they still want to keep my other daughter, and they have no reason to keep her. They want to keep her in state's custody, and they don't want my older daughter adopting her. It doesn't make any sense. So now I have to fight to get my 15-year-old back.
So the 15-year-old is the one that made the allegation about sexual abuse?
No, it was the 18. It was my daughter that's 18 made it, but she said that it had happened when she was 7 or 8 years old, and um, so there wasn't. I mean, you can't just say somebody did something, and there was no proof. There was no way to
Right.
tell if anything had been done. So it really should have never went as far as it did. They couldn't, and they didn't even prove anything at the fact finding.
Mhm.
And we were under duress.
Hi,
They
Stace.
made
Sorry about that, man. Young, Miss Young, just hold on. Hi, Stacy.
Hi, Miss G. Hi, Karen.
Mandy. Oh my God, that's Miss Young. I keep calling her Mandy. I
It
don't know
is.
why.
Yes. Hi,
I know
Oh
Mandy.
my
because I
You're
God.
noticed that too, and I
in
wasn't
person.
even on the computer. I wasn't even face to face.
She said she remembers you, Stacy.
Hi,
I
Stacy.
I remember
I
her
talked
too.
to
She
you
always
online.
commented on our shows. Yeah.
Yeah. But so now I am in the. I'm trying to figure out what to do to get my oldest daughter. I mean, to get my 15-year-old back home where she belongs. So, but I don't have an attorney.
Stacy, so
And
do you remember her story, or should we touch you up on it?
A little bit. I heard so an 18-year-old said somebody sexually abused her when she was 7, and then
yes,
what did they do?
and well, she didn't tell me about it until she was 15,
Mm-hmm.
and so before DCS got involved, she had told me about it, and then I had made my husband leave. My
And you
husband
made
was
him
on the
leave.
like I made him leave. He left for 3 months. But I was and I talked to my daughter about everything, and we were trying to figure out how to handle the situation before DCS got involved. But because he came back home, because my daughter was still at my daughter was at my other daughter's house, my oldest daughter. I have a 30-year-old. Um, so there, and that's where both of my girls are now is with my oldest daughter. Um, and it's been a mess.
So after the 18-year-old disclosed about the
Well, she told when she was 15. Well, she told me about it when she was 15. So this has been
right.
going on for 3 years.
So did you ever bring your husband back around the kids after that?
Yeah. I mean, he came back home, but they weren't here. They were with us. They were with my older daughter. So they weren't with him.
So
They weren't around him.
right. So they weren't around him, right?
No, they weren't.
So what was the excuse for CPS to take your kids from you, or you're trying to get them back from your older daughter?
Oh, they tried to, because they could not prove that he had done anything when we went to the fact finding. They went ahead and tried to charge me with neglect. But I don't have any criminal charges or nothing. They said I was neglectful, which is not true. Because I was trying to, when you hear something like that and it is your family, you have to figure out a way to make it to where you can survive on your own and take care of your children and yada yada yada. And so I didn't.
My first thought about all this is it's that damned if you do and damned if you don't scenario that they put women in.
Mhm.
If you don't protect your kids, you're abusive. If you do protect your
Right.
kids, you're neglectful. You know.
Well, and another thing, I mean, I know I'm not taking up for my husband by any means, but if a man is truly a child abuser, they will not just do something one time. It'll happen more than once, no matter who it is.
I don't know how much I put.
Because I
I
don't
don't know.
know.
I don't know how much I put into that theory, because a lot of times what really happens is children under disclose. So if a child says it happened one time, it oftentimes mean it happened a lot more, but they're under disclosing. And that's what research says, is they tend to under disclose, not embellish.
Well, I
So you got to be
did.
careful.
When she told me, I did ask her, how many times or, what had happened. Did that happen more than once? And she was like, no, it only happened once. And basically, it never happened again. Like, So I'm just really
Yeah.
like, that don't make any sense.
Yeah, my daughter did the same thing. She would tell some people it happened once and tell other people that it happened more than once. So it's really, you have to understand the nature of child sexual abuse disclosures.
Mm.
And the way the literature describes it and such is they send out little test balloons. So they'll send you a hint, and it might even just be, like oftentimes cutting will be associated with child sexual abuse, and then they'll show you that they've been cutting. And the child sees the parents as omniscient and all knowing. So they think as soon as they show the cutting, the parent is supposed to magically know that they're being sexually abused. And then they'll just send out like that little test balloon. And then they'll send out a hint that dad was peeking at me in the shower, which was one of my daughter's disclosures. And then they just send little test balloons till it, and they're watching your reaction every single time. How did mom take that? How did the person they're disclosed to take that news? Because it's a sensitive topic. I'm watching how mom responds each time. So now your daughter sent out and said it happened once. She's looking for your response before she tells you more. And I'm not saying that that's what happened here, but it is what often happens. And you have to be careful for that and not put um, uh, too much weight on the fact she said it happened once. It may just have been a test balloon for more coming disclosures.
I actually agree with you on that one, Stacey. I really do, because a lot of times kids disclose it only to see how you're going to react. And then if your reaction is, I don't believe you, or if your reaction is, yeah, if your reaction is anger and resentment and screaming at the child, then they're going to stop disclosing anything after that. And that's why children keep changing their stories back and forth. While in the meantime, CPS sees it as you're coaching the child, when in fact you're not coaching the child. You're just, the child is confused. Yeah, that's what I have witnessed in so many cases with Davis. Is they always blame the mother for everything. But to me,
Mm-hmm.
my opinion, Miss Young, is that the dad should never have returned home. Even if she wasn't, what she's saying is true. Am I right? What if? What do you think? What was the outcome from all this? What was the outcome from all this? What happened to the dad?
Well, he's not here.
He's not
He
here.
he's not here. No, he's gone. We're getting divorced.
Oh my God. Was he arrested by any chance?
No.
See, that's the thing too. Why do they arrest some men with sexual allegations and some men they don't arrest? That means then it's not. I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know. I mean that. I mean, we've already went. Like DCS has already terminated our rights, and then I found some information out, and I'm like, nope. So he left. He needed to leave, and um, so I'm just like trying to figure out what to do now. As far as the DCS
You,
case, and then everything else.
but you kept your children safe. Granted, you brought them home, but they stayed with your older daughter.
Yeah, they've been with her for 3 years, and so during the first things of the case, we were supposed to have therapeutic. Me and my daughters were supposed to have therapeutic visits, but DCS blocked that, and they just tried to make sure that there was no communication between me and my daughters whatsoever. And they were actually advised that we should have therapy, which me and my daughters should have therapeutic visits and visitation, but didn't happen. They blocked everything, even when my attorney would ask.
Where does your older daughter live relative to you?
About 5 minutes away.
And how are the children doing?
I guess they're doing okay. I don't really get updates or anything, so.
I mean, you're fortunate your children were allowed to stay in your family, though, right, Miss G? Because a lot of times they use these things to kidnap kids right out of families.
Right.
You know.
It's definitely a mess.
Now, when the children age out of the system, what are the plans there?
Well, my daughter has just turned 18. She's still in high school. Supposedly she's in they have her in some kind of program to help her learn life skills or something, and she's staying in that program, and she'll continue. And they're supposed to. She's still going to get services even after they close the case. Is what the paper said that they sent.
But the courts can't interfere with her attempts to contact you at that point,
No.
though, at 18.
No, they can't. So that's a good thing. Because, once all this information was revealed about the things my husband was doing, I'm like, well, you just kind of think, well, maybe something happened more than once,
If I may ask, what were the reasons you filed for, or he filed for divorce? Were they anything abuse related?
They weren't children related, no. But he hasn't filed. He just left because he didn't want to admit to what he did, even though the evidence was right in front of his face. So he just left instead of sitting down and talking to me like a grown man. He just got mad, packed his bags, and left. And I'm like, whatever.
So how long was this now? So this was 3 years that he's been back with you at the house, and now he's leaving?
Yeah.
Sorry, Stacy, you were asking me a question.
Yes, it's ridiculous.
Well, I was just saying that Miss Young, she's lucky that the kids got to stay in the family and weren't taken out and sent into foster care, because they love to do that to children. They so many times try to avoid the kinship care.
Yeah.
Right, they do, but I guess because of where we were at when DCS was called, I guess it was a good thing because they were with my daughter, and I mean, I know she loves them. She loves her sisters. They're all close. Me and my daughter used to actually be really close. Me and my oldest daughter. She's got 4 children. I have 4 grandkids, and I took care of my grandkids while she worked, and they lived with us, and so I took care of my grandkids. And when my daughter was still married to her husband, he had issues with getting a job, and I worked 6 months straight at my job and gave her my paycheck every week so she could get stuff for the kids because her husband wouldn't do anything. So we were really close, and then it came to where I was going to have to get a job. And I guess she was angry because I couldn't babysit anymore because I had to get a job because we needed the money. And then she just kind of changed after that. And then the stuff came out with my 15-year-old telling me what happened with her dad. Then I made him leave. And it's very hard to, I guess, to try to think about what you're going to do when you're in a situation where you don't have anything. And, but things are better. I do have stuff now, but I just had heart surgery like a month ago. So I'm still healing. I'll go back to work next month. But I'm hoping that now that he's gone, I can talk to my children. And I wished it would have happened 3 years ago instead of now. Because now, no man is worth it.
No man is worth it.
No
At
man.
least not the bad. Well, there's good men out there. There's good men out there. I haven't found one yet, but there's good men out there.
Me neither.
Yeah, but they say the good ones are married. That's what they say. The good
No,
ones
it's not
are still married.
necessarily true.
No, it's true. I mean, well, yeah, I
No,
guess. Yeah,
I'm married. And
yeah, I
that,
guess. Yeah, but that's what they used to say in the old days. Good ones are married.
yeah, I've heard that.
I guess not anymore. It doesn't stand at this
Not
point
anymore.
in life anymore. Oh my God, Darren, what's your
Mhm.
feedback, your intake on all this that you're listening to? I hope you were listening.
I heard it all. I mean, you know what? It sucks when anybody touches a child in a sexual manner. I mean, there's no good ways to look at that. Period.
Nope.
And I'm of the opinion of I can't believe that you gave him a second chance. I mean, that's just my opinion. But I mean, if those things are done, then man, that's a horrible, horrible thing to put a child through. And I mean, it's your job to protect and to allow that man back into your child's life. I mean, that's got to be a horrid thing for your kid. That's just my opinion. Like that's just. But that's people do what they got to do to get by, and I understand that. But on the same hand, imagine your poor kid screaming out loud for help and not being able to get help. It's just terrible. So the whole thing's a suck situation. So that's how I feel about it. I mean, our jobs as parents are to protect our kids.
I just don't understand how a father of a child can even touch her. I didn't.
I don't
This
either.
is a true story. I swear. I'm not making this up. As God is my witness. I didn't know my father had a pee until I was in second year in high school. I'm not joking. I lived my life. I was so sheltered. I didn't know what sex was. I didn't know. I swear I didn't. And then my friends, I didn't even have friends where they disclosed things like that to me. I was like in school, library, home, and church and Sunday school. I swear, no joke. That was my life. And I didn't learn about sex or the men's parts until when I was in high school. My father and my mom finally signed the consent to talk to be able to take sex classes. Right. My teacher was so classy and so beautiful. Her name was Miss Adut. It was Miss Adut and Mr. Adut. They were both teachers and they were both married. And she explained it very sweetly. She said it's between husband and wife, and this what happens. She never said do it before marriage. I mean, none of her session was like that. It was like, okay, when people get married, this what happens. This what happens. And then she showed the little people that swim. And I'm like, oh, like I wasn't the only one in the class going, like I swear to God, I'm not joking. She thought at the time that because of I'm Egyptian and it's like a culture thing, like you're not supposed to know about this, you're supposed to keep
Yeah.
yourself a virgin until you get married, which my dad made sure we were. But it was like that. But nowadays kids know about this from age 5. Actually age 3. Somebody's kid said at a birthday party, my pee hurts because it's a long story, but he was having some kind of infection. Yeah. So, but he would say he would describe other things. I told the mother at the time, I don't know the mom, but I told her it doesn't sound right because he knew too much, right? And he was too young. But that's how I learned about this. But nowadays, like I said, it's like they're giving condoms to children. They're giving all kinds of stuff. They're opening the kids' eyes to a lot of things. And in my heart, I just if a child, it's so really really weird when you hear that a father did this to his child. It's so hard for me to. I don't know. Does that make me bad? I don't know. But it's so hard for me to process this. It's so hard.
Well,
So
it's
hard.
disgusting. It's gross and disgusting.
Miss
And
Young,
But how come they do it to one child? That's my thing. How come they do it to one child and not the others?
I have no idea.
Stacy?
I think they look at who is. This is a bad comparison, but it gets the point across. When a dog is at the dinner table of 20 people, they go to the one that they think is the weakest link for the meal. So
Yeah.
they assess the children, which one is the one that's most vulnerable and least likely to disclose, and which one can they manipulate the most. And if there's any children with disabilities or any history of mental illness, then they're going to pick that child too, because then they're going to say, oh, that kid's just crazy and making it up. So
Yeah.
they assess, this is a very careful thing they do, and they will take their time to get it right and pick the one that they see as the most vulnerable, and they will be patient about it and calculating.
But that's his own flesh and blood, though. That's the thing I'm
Yeah, that's
trying
what
to
I was.
Oh,
understand.
well, I mean, but Miss G, I mean, to me, it's just the epitome of being a sociopath, that there's no the absence of a conscience. To me,
Oh my God. This is disgusting. It's disgusting. I mean, I see someone like, for example, like my dad, and if anything happened, like if anybody even touched me, he would have gone to jail, 100%.
I mean, are we sure 100% that this is legit, that this happened? Is this 100%? Or is this just assumption?
Well, my daughter, can I disclose what she said if it's not vulgar? I mean, it's vulgar. It's not,
Yeah.
not, she basically said that she was sleeping with her dad, and I don't know why he was in her bed, first of all, but she said that she was sleeping in there and her dad was in there, and she said that he rolled over on top of her and dry humped her, and then he rolled back over. And I was like, what? I don't understand. I don't. So when she said that, um, I made him leave. I was like, what the hell? And he left. And while he was gone, she went to go stay with her sister. So I was like, well, because I was trying to figure out what to do. But at that time, my brain was I was in shock, first of all. And so uh, things were kind of rough, so I figured that the kids were with their sister, and so he came back. And then, and I don't understand this. Well, I do understand it, but then CPS was called when the counselor called DCS, and that's what started it all. Which started the DCS case.
That's
Which
disgusting, because why would he be on top of her? Like, why was he sleeping in her bed to begin
I
with?
don't know, and I don't
I've
know
never
if
heard of a
thing that
father sleep in their daughter's bed
I
like that.
don't. Well, I don't even know myself because just he worked third shift, so I'm not, I'm trying to think, well, when did this happen? Did it happen before she was 7? And I was just trying to figure out the timeline, because he used to work third shift and she doesn't sleep during the day. So my thing did she get her age missed? Did it happen before she was 7 and she thinks it happened when she was 7? Not that it matters, because it shouldn't have happened, but I'm trying to, I've been racking my brain about, first of all, when did it happen? What's wrong with him? Why did he do it? Well, it's stupid
a
because
couple
it's
a
just
couple
so.
of things from this case, Miss G.
Hmm.
When women, if Miss Young did what we all feel is the right thing to do, and she sent the man out of the house, and she went to the courts for custody of her kids, and she advocated about their abuse disclosures, most likely that father would have gotten custody.
Yeah, Full
He probably
custody.
would have.
And so in a way, while some criticism and the tone is, you know, in a sense, the children got punished by being sent out of the house for their disclosure and the man got brought back in. On the other hand, these children didn't get sent to the custody of their abuser like the courts most often do when women come forward and report abuse and file for divorce to protect their children. And in a sense, this is actually a better outcome where the children are still within the family and they're with a safe guardian within the family instead of sent out to foster care or put in the custody of the pedophile.
And he probably would have gotten custody of them because at the time, you know, I wasn't working, or I was working, but I wasn't making enough money to pay my bills on my own. And he probably would have gotten custody of them because he had more money than I did at the time.
Of course. I'm still trying to figure out why he wasn't arrested. Why are some parents arrested?
Right.
See,
Why
I
was-
don't know. I called the police. I mean, I even called the police. My neighbor was with me, and I called the police, and we talked to him. And I asked them, I said, well, my daughter's disclosed that her father was inappropriate with her, and what can I do as far as legal? And they said, because it's been so long, it would just be her word against his, that there was nothing they could do.
Oh, that's not true. I've heard
That's what they told me.
others go to jail in prison, in fact, because of something that happened decades ago. I mean,
and you see, Mr.
And I
too,
thought that,
is the disparity here. The disclosure was enough to take the children away from the mom, but the disclosure isn't enough to put the father in jail.
exactly.
I think it's more harsh to lose custody of your children than it is to go spend some months in jail. Because in Niagara County, where I live, a level 3 violent sex offender just only got 6 months in jail, but good behavior got him out in 4.
And then he went out and did it again.
Probably he gets released at the beginning of this month.
Yeah.
So that punishment is nothing compared to the trauma women go through for reporting abuse, having your kids taken away for doing the right thing.
Yeah.
And then these sex abusers go free all the time.
Isn't it sad? The abusers get away with it. Well, the good ones are in jail for it. It's so weird. I'm not joking. It's like they literally traumatize good dads, good husbands, you know? But the fathers who are just destroying their kids' lives and abusing them, they're set free. They're
it's
set free.
messed up.
It doesn't make any sense to me. And when the woman makes the right thing, and I don't know what's going on, there's a lot of other background.
I mean, I don't know, you know.
Oh, it's you, Miss Young. There's a lot of noise in your background. Yeah.
I don't know why. There's nothing on.
Yeah. I muted you. Yeah, see, it's you.
I have service with Verizon, and they're terrible.
Yes, I understand. But let me mute you while I say that. There's a lot of... Okay, it's not you. Okay, I'm confused. It's not Darren.
Maybe it's me. You know, I'm in my...
No, it's not you. Oh, it is you. Oh, it's your car. It's your car, Stacy. Okay. Okay. So yeah. Now I forgot what I was gonna say. Damn it. Now never mind. Just go on. Just like...
But you know what's really unfortunate here is we talk about all the ways of who's like upset and who's it's bad. But imagine that this man really didn't do this, and his whole life has been now just uprooted and destroyed. See, there's an unfortunate part to all of this is that we don't know whether it's true or not that this guy did this. We just have the word.
What's destroyed about his life?
What's that?
What's destroyed about his life? He got to live in the house.
His family has left him. What do you mean? What's destroyed about it? If he did not do this, then he's been plagued as a bad person for no reason.
But his family didn't. He got to stay in the house and go on and live his life.
Where is he now? And you think that doesn't cause problems in their relationship? Do you think that?
We're not talking about the relationship.
Well,
we're talking about the kids.
Oh my fucking God! You guys are ridiculous.
Well, it's okay. I mean, you can say it's ridiculous, but
So you can talk about all the other aspects of the relationship that got affected by it, but not the man that if he's wrongfully accused, how it affected their relationship that way.
Okay, so can I put? I'll just put my position.
You
out
do it
there.
anyway, so go ahead.
Yep, I do, and I do it well because I read research. So,
Considering, yeah.
so the rate of childhood disclosures of sexual abuse, and the validity of their disclosures, it's exceedingly rare for a child to disclose sexual abuse and have it be a false allegation. And the research on
We're on a
this
lawyer's show. We're on a
does
lawyer's show that we should see what's right and wrong.
the research on this does vary a little bit, but some of the most valid research says 0 to 2% of the time do children lie about sexual abuse. But I have also seen research up to like 5% of the time. So 0 to 5% of child sexual abuse disclosures are false. And of those false abuse disclosures, some of them are innocent, not like they want them to be, like, not that they're maliciously endorsed, but sometimes they are just false by accident or misunderstanding. So the fact that kids' sexual abuse is exceedingly rare, you do have to be so careful when a child has the bravery to come forward. And so many people are so quick to protect a man's reputation over protecting children that
When does that happen?
98% of the time people are getting it wrong when they're worried about the man's reputation over the safety and welfare of children, because sexual abuse disclosures by children are so exceedingly rare.
Do you recall what I said? Do you recall what I said at the beginning of this? I was the one that came out and said that, right? Okay. What I'm saying is hypothetically, what if this guy wasn't? Did this comment by your husband and your daughter play a huge role in your relationship downfall?
Yeah, because there's the problem that I had with the issue that I actually had with with her telling me, okay, yes, when she told me, I was like, oh my God, that's terrible. And I did what I was supposed to do. But like I said, that's why I told the backstory about my oldest daughter being angry because I couldn't babysit. And then I'm thinking, well, and then, and because I can't place when something like that could have happened, because like I said, I'm not trying to protect my husband. I'm trying to figure out, did this happen
Right.
before she was
And
7?
that's what I'm saying. As hypothetically, like there is, like you just said,
It's not.
there is a 0 to 5% chance that this could be a lie. So that's still a chance. And I'm just saying that if all of this is false, like this man has been thrown to the wolves, and the family's just the whole situation is unfortunate.
It's
regardless of how whatever. I'm just saying it sucks that we don't know if this really happened or not, because without knowing, we can all sit here and have a powwow all we want, but there's no fact in the matter of whether this happened or not. So if this was in the court of law, Miss G, you're the one in the courts all the time. What are they going to say in court? Are they going to say this did happen, this didn't happen? Like, how would they take this in a courtroom? There's no evidence.
They have to do forensic on the child.
They wouldn't.
Well, see, they have to do forensic on the child. The child undergoes a lot of evaluations, and they ask, like, for instance, when a man sleeps next to someone, right? There's at night or whatever. There's like, sometimes when you touch,
right.
it's out of his control. All
Right.
men have it. It's not just one. So sometimes the child will take that as, dad's pee-pee was tickling me. Right? So that's why fathers choose not to sleep close to their daughters at one point, some point, because when they get bigger, they don't want to be that kind of close. So, but when the way that the child discloses, they ask a lot of different questions, right? But what CPS does, CPS removes, like, the child feels comfortable with one therapist, for example, or psychiatrist, right? Then they change psychiatrists on them, right? They change it rapidly. That shouldn't happen. It should be just one, where that child feels safe with this one, instead of keep changing the child around. But when the child discloses something, they usually disclose it in different ways.
Right.
And that forensic specialist basically has to determine if the child is indeed telling the truth, and what based that to be the truth. What is it that in their study that based it to be the truth, right? That's how it should go. But we don't know what happens in CPS world. If you don't have an attorney requesting that special, forensic to be done on the child and reports to be conducted on what really happened, then the mother or the father will have to deal with the consequences of juvenile courts and what their decision is going to be. Right?
And I'm sorry,
That's how
but
it
here's
works. Yeah.
something that also, when I did find out, when she told me, and DCS, and then when DCS got involved, I asked DCS, I said, can you do a physical examination to see if there was anything else done? And I asked them to do that. I was like, can you please, my daughter's, she's older at 15, can you do a physical examination on her just to make sure everything's, the way it's supposed to be, or, or whatever. Well, I was told no because she's too old and it might traumatize her. I'm like,
might traumatize her.
Yeah, they said they wouldn't do a exam on her or have one done because it might traumatize her.
So unfortunately,
Like,
if she's 15 and disclosing something from 7, there really isn't going to be anything left. But if there was more going on because she was under disclosing, there was still something going on, there might be something there. But also, these exams are supposed to be designed in the least traumatic way because we wouldn't want forensic examiners to be abusers. So why would they say that the exam is abusive as a reason to not do it? But
so full of crap.
What I tend to find is that these agencies operate so corruptly, you can't even rely on them to make an accurate decision. Just in my case, the forensic examiner is a known hired gun for CPS, and he called the police and CPS and requested them not to talk to my children about their sex abuse disclosures. And the police and CPS followed his directive. And so you can't even rely on these forensic examiners to do their job properly because they all examine their ulterior motives first and the predetermined narrative where they want the children to go and what they want to do and proceed according to that predetermined narrative. Sometimes you're lucky if the predetermined narrative is favorable to you, but these processes are so unreliable. And psychology and psychiatry is our least understood area of medicine. You can't do a blood test and say, oh, here's a pedophile, or a blood test and say, oh, here, just the way we can check our cholesterol. So it's a very difficult system to navigate. And while, yes, there's a 0 to 5% chance that there was a misunderstanding or false allegation there, Darren, yes. But the child and the mom are the ones that are most innocent, even. Like, we know for sure mom didn't do anything and she doesn't have her kids. So this is all an all-around devastating picture. And there's inconsistencies that children are ripped away from a mother, but the father's not held accountable. So either the father did it or didn't do it, and it should be equal for both parents.
Mm-hmm.
The remedy.
Right. And even my husband's attorney told him that he didn't understand why they weren't onto him more, but because they could not prove anything, they turned around and just attacked me like vultures.
Mm-hmm.
And it was awful.
And so they took your children away based on hearsay.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
And hearsay I don't think is enough to do a TPR. So I don't.
Well, they did it anyway. That judge
they do it anyway all the time.
Whatever the hell they wanted to do. Yeah, that's what happened because I sat up there and I talked, and I spoke my piece in court, whether they liked it or not. Because, it was a mess. And DCS didn't do anything. They haven't done anything. They didn't do anything for our family. They just tried to rip us apart further and further.
Mm-hmm.
Cause more damage.
And then with the dumbass husband, what he's stupid self, if I would have known, if I could have found out 3 years ago, I'd be having my kids. I wouldn't have
Mm-hmm.
I don't care if you're gone now because I'm all right, but I don't have my kids now, so
But that shouldn't be the case. Why you don't? That shouldn't be. They shouldn't punish you for this. They shouldn't
Right. She's been completely
punish.
punished. She lost her husband and her kids.
Yeah, completely punished for what? You
Mhm.
make doing the right thing. I mean,
Mhm.
what about people mandated
it makes
reporters
me
and all
mad.
that?
I
Huh?
mean, I wish I was a bad person, but I'm not.
I know you're not.
It's
But
terrible. I mean, I feel bad because maybe I think about CPS all the time, and I just want to go in there and you know tell them all to their face and ask them, what would they do if they didn't see their kids for 3 years, holidays, birthdays.
they don't
I
have
had,
kids. They don't
huh?
have kids. They don't have
They
kids.
probably don't.
No,
I
the ones
know
that have kids are the ones that adopted them from the CPS, from their
Yep.
own agency.
that's what they're
And
saying.
even judges, there's one judge I know of for sure, in LA County. May God have mercy on her dark, dark, dark soul. She doesn't. She's gay, and she adopted a child years ago, and that child was babysitting one of the women that were fighting for her children from the ex-husband. Her that daughter was babysitting them in the process. So basically, they're all caught in the same web, right? And like
They're
it's
all in
so
it together.
depressing to me. But do you see that? Then I found out from the client that the mother had no idea of this when it happened,
Right.
and then it was one of the children, one of the boys, that disclosed to the mother um, who that judge was, by name, by everything.
Oh wow.
Christmas parties, blah 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 blah. That's their dad's new wife is best friend. So basically, it's kind of doing everything possible to destroy, two boys trying to be with their mom. And it's in the same department where the kids were removed from the client. The same department. That's how sad it is. And then that's how the system works. The system works in your favor if you have connection with
Hmm.
the courts. That's it. If you don't have connections with the court, they usually choose the abuser. I have no idea why they choose the abuser, but then later on I find out that it's darkness. You only choose darkness when you're darkness.
Yeah.
You choose light when you're light, right?
Right.
So they choose darkness because they can see the light in people. Usually demons obviously can see the light in you. They
Yeah.
see the light in you, they don't want you.
Hurt people hurt people.
There you go.
I know.
Hurt people. Yeah. And that's how it
I've heard that
goes.
before.
Yeah. And that's reality. That's what we have to face. But in the process, parents' lives, your parents' lives are being destroyed. In the process of all this. In the process of all, and the children, mind you not. Children are being medicated. Why are they medicating children? Pharmaceutical companies are
Hmm.
implementing drugs. Why are they implementing drugs? Because they want to have, people hooked on their drugs. And that's why they're $1 trillion a year entity because of that. Why are you giving a child
Yeah.
3-year-old uh what's it called? Xanax or whatever the heck they give kids nowadays. I don't know what they give them, but they give them drugs to sedate them. There was a
Yeah.
senator that I have been following, and I actually did speak with him yesterday. His name is um, my God.
Usov?
Yes, Usov. Yeah, Usov. I can never
Yep.
pronounce his name.
Yep.
And I told him where I work, and I told him what we stand for, what have you. I told him I work for the law office of Vincent Davis, and
Yep.
Attorney Davis, fights for people's rights against CPS and all that. But he's in a different state. I said, I wish we had more people like you in California, because I don't see anyone else in California trying to do this. I mean, Governor Newsom signs, blah, blah, blah stuff, but it's blah, blah, blah to me because it's not enforced. It's only enforced when I see them on national television discussing this matter, having meetings, having discussions, bringing victims of CPS to discuss what happens in their custody. There's children who grew out of the system. He actually had interviews with them all over to speak about their experience with CPS. You tell me what is going on in the other states. They put this under the rug. That's what they do. They put it under the rug. So he's a good guy. I didn't even ask him
Yeah,
what
he's a
party
real good
he
guy.
is. I never asked him what party he is. I didn't even ask him if he's a Democrat or Republican. I didn't care.
He's got
You know
that.
why? What?
Oh, sorry, this phone's ringing. Hang up in this part. Let me do this.
I didn't ask him because I didn't care. And that's how people should behave. Vote for someone who's actually taken a stand.
Mhm.
The Department of Children and Family Services. Don't just vote for them because they're this and that. No, you need to be mindful and keep your mind open, because this man is doing more than any other senator I have ever seen in my adult years. Well,
Yeah, his thing is open till the 15th too. You can go look at him and try to get in on his stories.
yeah.
He's trying to do a conglomeration of the stories. And if
Mhm.
you go to his website, I think you have until November 15th, I believe. Oh yeah, election day, right? To enter in and get into his. I don't know exactly. I talked to him last week as well, just about a bunch of things. But he's the one that's going out there and trying to help the whole anti-CPS thing. I mean, if we keep asking for him, well, here he is. Whatever, left, right, up, down, whatever it is, he's putting his neck out there and trying to help the families against CPS. So.
Well, sorry. I read the DCS manual for Indiana. I read half of it. I didn't read all of it. I just read half of it. But they don't even do what's in that book. They don't even do what the manual says. I mean, you sit there and read the manual and it looks so good and it looks like, oh, they're really going to help. And, they're supposed to help parents and help this family. No, they did absolutely the total, complete opposite of what they
I'm
were
proud of
supposed
you,
to
though.
do.
I'm proud of you for taking the time to find that manual and read it, because
Yeah.
that is part of your help in the matter. And I have a question for you, Miss Young, too. You've gone through this, and I feel like, we go through these things because there was something about us that we needed to learn and that the world wanted to show us. So I'm sure that you're emerging from this whole experience having learned some lessons. And there's probably people listening right now and watching the show and you who might be in a similar position. What words of wisdom from your experience do you have for people that are in a similar experience but earlier on? And what do you have to say to them?
Well, I would say before you get in a relationship with someone, you should really know them and lo- you should pay attention to stuff that they do, even if it's the smallest thing, because usually they end up being big things in the end, unfortunately.
Unfortunately.
And if you have kids, take care of your kids. Just if you have to deal with CPS, don't open the door first of all, because I'm sorry, I'm the type of person. This situation to me was a family situation. Let me handle my situation on my own. I didn't need a bunch of people getting up in my business, and they just made everything 10 times worse
Yeah, because
because
this
they
is
didn't help.
private. This is private. You don't
Exactly.
mean
That's how
you
I
don't
feel.
mean to do that. This is
Right.
private.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I told the judge that. I said, I don't need DCS's involvement. I can handle this situation on my own. You know,
exactly.
the way my family is, even with my daughter, they made me and my oldest daughter go to counseling together because we weren't getting along. But what they don't realize is that my oldest daughter had some trauma from her marriage that she was in, because she was married to a man who kept getting her pregnant and wasn't working or helping her pay bills or nothing. And he cheated on her. And she was angry because of that. And he was a narcissist. So she's picked up his traits. I hate to say that, but it's true. You can't just, I mean, I love my daughter. Don't get me wrong. You know,
I don't think
she,
she picked up his traits. I think she
but
she she
she,
did the tit for tat stuff, meaning
yeah,
you treat me that way, I'm gonna treat you that way. And usually she would treat him the same way he treated her. And yes, it's not
She
picking up the
tried
speed.
to,
She's
but
just fed up with him.
I mean, well, he kept leaving her, and she would take him back and take him back.
Yep.
So during all this time, she would come and live with me, and I would try to take care of her. I took her to the hospital, delivered 3 of my grandchildren,
Mhm.
and then for her to just get mad at me and not talk to me after I told her I couldn't babysit no more, that's really when she got angry with me. But I was like, but you don't understand. I have to work too. And I love my grandkids. I would do anything for them. Even though my daughter acts like she hates me. And we went to counseling, and it didn't really it didn't really help because it's so weird when it comes to me and my kids. If other people are interfering, it doesn't help.
Mm-mm.
It's better to let us work it out ourselves. And that's
Because
exactly
they're
what I did.
strangers.
Yeah,
Therapists are
they don't know.
strangers.
They don't
They
really
don't
know
know
my daughter's
anything about your life. They don't know
right.
anything about your upbringing, but
Exactly.
they put like they literally everything to them is abuse. Everything
Right.
is abuse. If you tell a child, I'm going to take your phone from you because you came home at
It's
2 o'clock in
abuse.
the morning, you're
Yep.
underage, then you know what they do? The
Hmm.
mother abused the child because she
Yep.
took the cell phone from her. But they don't address that the child came at 2 o'clock in the morning, left the house without the mother knowing. And,
Exactly.
the mother is doing everything possible to discipline the child, but they see that as abuse. But then what they do to the children literally is, to me, is the most abusive thing you can do, because you are literally destroying a child's mind, developing mind that's still developing. Children develop
Hmm.
slowly, and the thing is, they take that child, they destroy that child. That child reacts towards the destruction, then they blame the mother for everything.
Hmm.
I swear, I always think of Adam and Eve, when Adam blamed Eve for the
Hmm.
apple. To me, it's like ever since that, every woman on the face of the earth is being blamed.
Yep.
And that really hurts to think about, because there was a video that I saw from the 1700. I sent it to Stacy, where the men would come up with ideas to gag women and put like, oh yeah, they put like a gag metal thing on their head to keep
Hmm.
them from talking. And that was acceptable in the 1700. I'm not joking.
No,
This
I believe you. They were
Yeah,
brutal.
yeah, they're brutal. They still are, but they're
Oh
just being
yeah.
discreet about it.
Right.
And this, to me, is like punishment of women is all over. If a woman doesn't leave her husband, and her husband being a good man, and they just want her to leave her husband, then she's deemed unfit. If a
Hmm.
woman called CPS to protect her from domestic violence because her restraining order husband decided to come and break the window, then
Hmm.
she's unfit to have children or to keep her children. If a woman is, no matter what the woman does, the woman is deemed unfit. Women, God made us to be helper for men, right?
Right.
We're equal to them, but
Right.
we're not. God made men the head of the household, and women to
That's how
be
it's supposed to be. Yeah.
but that's how it should be. But you have to have a good man to follow. If you have a corrupt man, destructive man, a druggy man, it's kind of hard to follow that. So
Yeah.
what men do, they want to gag you, right? Because they want to
Hmm.
be the head of the household, but you didn't take that role on because you're destructive. God didn't tell you to be destructive to your wife. God didn't tell you to be destructive to any woman. In
Or they're
fact,
passive.
no, not
And
passive. There
some
is
men.
no, there is ways to handle a relationship. Don't disrespect the man, and he shouldn't disrespect you. And it should be a communication going on, not violence, not this, not that. But what I've noticed is violence is increasing among relationships, and it shouldn't be like that. And honestly, as Leo Christmas put it, a good men are men of God, a follower and servant of the King Jesus. Meaning, if you follow your household the way God told you to follow it, you will not have problems like this, because you would overcome the demonic, you know, firing darts from the enemy. You would overcome it because you know where it's coming from. When you're both equally yoked together, both have to be equally yoked, not one strong, one weak. It doesn't even work that way. And that's how you handle a relationship. So no enemy comes between you or enter your home. And the enemy enters the home when there is violence, when there is mistreatment in the home. And that's how the enemy enters the home. Because all of this shouldn't be like that. It shouldn't be that men abuse women because they're the head of the household. That's not what Jesus said. That's not his command to us. Because I have seen people who live together according to God, and they live together until death did them part.
Mm-hmm.
And their children never faced this type of trauma. Right? But then nowadays, children face all types of trauma. Why? Because the woman has to work. The man is this. They're putting so much pressure on the home. Two people have to work. But what happens to the family? Where is everyday dinner together? Where is prayer time? Where is this? Where is that? Because now at schools, they're giving them the free will to do whatever they want. What do you mean the free will? I wish my dad was alive when that was going on. I'm telling you the truth right now. My dad would have hurt people who hurt me. That's how my father was. So for them to say, don't listen to your parents, it's making children do whatever they want. And then they come and blame the mother, and they come and blame the dad. Like, what the? So all this happening in the country right now.
Yep. It's awful.
It's awful. This should never happen. If I'm wrong,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't think I'm wrong. I honestly don't. Because it's common sense, and they lack common sense and empathy and compassion. They lack the word of God. That's what it is. They lack the word of God. They lack it. And I feel like demons is increasing because evil is just it's like cancer.
Yeah.
Evil is like cancer. They're just destroying. Even when the man is struggling to make ends meet, trying to be the man of the house, they're breaking him down. If the woman is trying to be the companion and like supportive to her husband or her man, they put her down. It's like no matter what happens, evil is increasing.
Well, I was
And
gonna.
we need to put a stop to it. You know how we put a stop to it? We all need to be a voice together. And honest to God, this to me, like Stacey was mentioning, what being, remember Stacey, we were mentioning that business card, and we were going to talk to Davis about it, but he hasn't been on the show. But what you do in court, you're muted. Unmute yourself.
Yeah, I just I started a court watching organization. Basically, when people are facing, war on our families in the family courts, whether it's through CPS or a divorce custody action, we go in and we exercise our First Amendment right of public access to the courts. And for many years, many judges and state courts would tell people that the public had to go away from family courts. But our research on the law found that this wasn't even true. And we even contacted the chief administrative judge of New York State, where I live. And she did legal research on that too, as directed by the chief administrative judge. And she emailed us the case law supporting our right of access even into the family courts. And we go in because it creates a more even footing, because parents will never have the influence that CPS has, is such a large agency with never-ending pockets. So the public going in and watching court cases creates more of an even footing, so that there's more transparency and more pressure for the judge to actually follow the law. And this has been very, very, very effective. The hardest part is just getting people off the couch, but it works on this war against our families.
Well, in Indiana, the public is not allowed to go into juvenile court. They're not allowed to sit in. They wouldn't.
That's
be able to
wrong.
Do it.
You're
That's
being
wrong.
lied to. You're being lied to. It's a
I read
First
it on the
Amendment
web.
right
I
of
read it
public
on
access to
the.
the courts.
Well, I read it on the.
Right. You
What
can
is
read
it?
it
Why
wherever
did
you
they?
want. You can read it wherever you want, because remember, these judges, they don't want to be held accountable. If they
Well,
did something wrong, they don't want the public to know. So you'll find pamphlets or things saying this or that, or you'll find judges trying to kick
it
you
was
out.
even on a government website.
That's okay. But when you do case law research on the topic, you will find it's supportive of your right of access to the courts, because the Constitution is the supreme law of the land. And a state cannot violate, they do all the time, but legally the state cannot violate the Constitution. And if they do, whatever their rules are wrong. So
the state constitution supersedes the
I'm sorry,
Supreme
you're
Court.
breaking up.
So, so if they're violating the Constitution, the federal United States Constitution of the United States, their rules have to be tossed out. So you have to know more, go deeper, dig further, and you will find you have your right of access to the courts. You have to fight for it because they don't want you in there, because you will hold them accountable, put transparency. Just like if you you might not appreciate being recorded in some ways too, even if you're an honest person, but sometimes even honest words can be held against you. So that's why judges try to keep people out. But that's not their place to do it. It's our First Amendment right of public access to the courts to be there. You have to exercise it. You have to do the diligence, as I did in New York State, and our courts are open. We don't get sent out.
See, because they also, when Stacy was doing her research, it said that too as well. It said that it's not open to the public, but she insisted, and now it's open. You get it? They want to intimidate you. They want to bully you. They want to scare you, and that's why they write. Guys have to understand that the information on Google is controlled by the government too. That's why they gag us. That's why they gag us on YouTube. That's why they gag us on Facebook. That's why on TikTok and all that, and Instagram, because they don't want the public to know the real truth. So, they can't go against that. But what they tell you wrong information on Google search.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why Stacy dug deeper, like she said, and now she even has a business card. Like, don't mess with me. Not today, Satan. And she goes in. I have seen it. So I'm telling you, do not back down. Do not be intimidated. And
well, I'm not afraid of anybody, so
we even the case law that, and I can, I could put it on here, but it doesn't help people outside of New York State. But the case law that Janet Fink sent me from the Chief Administrative Judge's office, I even sent to the media, and the New York Times got to sit in on a family court case with CPS and report on it. And thank God they did, because as Miss G was talking about, it was a case where CPS was kidnapping a child from a family for their own home.
Yep. And I've seen that with my own eyes. So Stacy kicked butt. She really did. She made sure this woman helped so many families in New York. And I couldn't be more prouder of her. And me and her became really close from just living her life the way she is right now. She literally is sincere about helping people. And she does it she's like a physician assistant, and her job is hectic, like 20 hours a day. And she still finds ways to help parents. I mean, even if in the ER where, a child is being mistreated, she's there. She's there helping. She's there. She's taking notes for her, to help those parents or help that grandparents or whatever the case may be. Because she knows how it is being mistreated. And to me, she does it without any ill feeling or without any publicity or whatever. And, she didn't talk about this before I did. I brought it up. She didn't bring it up. I brought it up because I want people to know what genuine is and what fake is. There's a whole new world out there that people are so fake about helping people just to take a profit from them. And it is sick to me, very, very sick to me, because parents are struggling. They're confused. They're going out of their mind. There's no need to take advantage of these people. As to what Stacey just mentioned, I am going to start implementing that here in California. I mean, in LA, I can't do the whole California, but her and I are going to brainstorm it together, and she's going to help me begin this same in LA. We'll see how it goes. I might be on TV arrested somewhere, but I'll be like, Stacy said it.
It's going to be for a good reason.
She made me do it. Yeah, I'm going to do it. I'm telling you, I'm going to do it. God help.
Let them arrest you, Miss G, because it sounds horrible. But the only way they can arrest you is if it's false. And when you get it all exonerated, then you look even more like a warrior, Miss G.
Oh my God. Okay. I'm gonna give Davis a heads up. He'll be like, just keep her in jail for a couple of more months and then I'll bail her out. Yeah. But I'll be like, Davis, Stacy told me to do it. All right. I think honestly they want to make a bully out of us. They want to bully us and to keep us silent. And like I said, the people have to stand up and they have to fight this fight. They really do. Because we have a lot of violations against us as parents that we are unaware of because they want us to be stupid. We're not stupid. And they don't want the truth to come out. So there you go. So, Miss Young, thank you so much for coming today and
Thank you for having me on.
your experience with CPS. And thank you, Stacy, for the last minute joining us today as well. I appreciate it. I know you're out and about. And Darren, thank you so much, honey. Do you have anything you want to say before we wrap this up? Because Miss Grace has sent us a message to wrap it up.
No, I'm good.
All
I am
right.
good for today.
All right. Have a good day, you guys. Thank you so much. God bless.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Miss G, Darren, Miss Young.
Thank you, sweetheart. Bye-bye.